Hello everybody, I'm Tony Pellegrino. It is August 5th. Thanks for joining me. This is a live tech talk that we do every Tuesday and Thursday. Today being Thursday, thanks for joining us. We have a great show to talk about everything Jeep related, and we're going to cover a number of topics today. So stay with us and we will get to all kinds of good stuff. As always, we welcome your questions and comments. This particular show is pre-recorded, so we will go ahead and type in your comments and we will come back and answer those questions and comments as we get back to being able to answer them. So anyways, go ahead and put them in and we'll get to them. Featured product. We've got a couple of things today that I want to talk about, and the first one is it our rugged radio? No, it's our Goal Zero. Okay, so this is a product that I recently discovered, and the idea here is that this replaces a small, like a Honda generator. So if you were thinking about getting one of those 1,000 watt Honda generators, this is an excellent solution for that. It's quiet, it doesn't require gas. When you turn on your vehicle, it can charge, and then when you stop, it is powered by solar. So it's a nice unit, it's very efficient, it'll run your refrigerator. This actually has a 1,500 watt inverter built in with a 3,000 watt peak. And we've run blow dryers and all kinds of stuff on this, so it really puts out power. It's got USB and USB-C ports built right into it, and then of course a cigarette lighter and a couple other options to tap off 12 volt power. It is lithium battery powered. It's got fans built inside for the inverter. It is really a nice unit. It even has a little storage door here to put the charger and everything inside of it. It's got a couple of nice handles. It's very light, and it's got a nice digital display here that tells you where it's at, what it's drawing, if you're charging it, what the input is, on some nice little rubber feet. This is a great solution for you to be quietly camping. And I know the overland crowd really likes quiet solutions for power. When I got this, I started out with the smaller one of this, the 500, to run my refrigerator. Now, when I was doing overlanding and driving all day, so the vehicle, the Jeep, was charging the unit, it was perfect. It kept up with my refrigerator and everything was fine. When I went to Jeepers, where I had several days I was parked and I had to rely on the solar to just keep up with the power draw of my ARB fridge, this one was much more handy, and this really worked out well. So I'm going to stick with this one and a 100 watt solar panel. They make bigger ones, 150 and 200 watt, that'll charge even faster. But this has been a great solution. So if you're looking for something like that, I know there's Jackery and several other companies that make something similar. I happen to think this is the nicest packaged and kind of current technology, and for what it's worth, it's something I'm using, so I thought I'd pass it along. So there you go. All right. Here's the solar panel. So if you get the solar panel, this folds up, and it's really nice. It's like a heavy-duty Cordura nylon on the backside. So when you fold it up, it's pretty well protected, and you can store it in your vehicle as you're driving without too much trouble. When you get done, you just lay it out. It's got little props on it, so you can prop it up into the sun. When I was at the Rubicon, I just laid it flat on the roof and it was fine. But if you need that direct sunlight for maximum power, you can prop it up and really get it where you're generating the most watts. So also a nice little unit. They make that in a 50 and 100 watt version. So, all right, next we're going to talk about our Boulder series fenders. I've talked about this once before. This is some of our original design fenders. These are no flare, what we call a zero flare, and they're very lightweight. What I like the most about them, if I can get the slide to change. there we go, is that they taper with the hood. So it's not only is it very narrow, it's really a good design. It won't get hung up when you turn around corners. And again, this is my way back original design. By the way, this is the Growler. That's how old this picture is, before it was even red. So this is probably back in like 2005, I would say. So yeah, great fender. We offer these for the CJ, the YJ, the TJ, the LJ. Great option if you're looking for something super high clearance and lightweight. A lot of the time you can get away with this instead of having to do high fender because there's nothing that sticks out and the wheels can articulate quite easily. So we call it the Boulder series. You can just type that in the website and they'll come right up, or you can shop by fenders or just shop by vehicle on our website or call in. Okay, next item is our TJ LJ battery tray. So this is one that I've been getting ready to put in a build that we're doing here. So I just, it comes unpainted. So we just painted it up. And this little guy, it actually goes in like this. And it sits on the firewall. This bolts down on the bottom, so the firewall would be straight here. And then the battery tray hooks on like so. And it's got a couple other brackets that hook it to the rest of the vehicle. So it includes those. Super nice. And the idea is that we're taking the battery tray from being flat, where it's gobbing up a bunch of space, and tilting it so that when you want to get your high fenders and a bunch more stuff pushed under the hood, you've got room. So let's show you a picture of install. Obviously it comes with hardware, but here it is. When you do the high fender, you're pushing everything up. So obviously you can't see much of it. That's why I brought out the parts to show you. But it tilts that battery, still allows you room for the ECU and your fuse block, and really gets this thing tight up in there. Obviously there's not a whole lot of extra space under the hood, especially when you do high fender. So if you haven't checked this out, it's a great solution. And or if your battery box or battery tray is rotted out, this is a great solution to update that and do something a little newer and nicer. So, okay. All right, rugged radios. This is where I thought we were going a minute ago. I just got in my brand new GMRS radios from Rugged. These are really nice. Not to be confused with the little blue radios that we've used for a long time, which are race radios. And what I wanted to tell you guys was we've used Rugged's products for about 15 years in our Jeeps, in our race cars. This is, a race radio here and an intercom here. This is really high quality product. Honestly, if it was anything but the top quality, I wouldn't use it at all. When we're out in the desert, whether we're out there recreationally or racing, we need that communication. It's absolutely imperative, and I only want to use the best. And Rugged has really been a great company for product quality and support. When they came out with this, this is kind of what's replacing CBs, and even Jeep Jamboree is now switching everybody over to this. Now this is also available in a base, what they call a base unit that you can mount in your vehicle. And this happens to be the smaller handheld version. And what I did was I bought Rugged's little kit. So it comes with a little storage case and a handheld mic for each one of these radios. And it's a 2-radio kit. So you get 2 radios, comes with all the base chargers, everything you need for both. Let's take a look here. Actually for 110 charging. Okay, so you have the little base unit and you plug that into your 110 charger, and the batteries last a long time. These radios are good, and this is the highest power you can get in handheld for the GMRS. So I wanted to show that to you, tell you guys a little bit about it. It's really kind of the new up and coming thing. So now I've got both the race radio and the GMRS in the vehicles I'm driving so that I can communicate with anybody that's out there on the trail. So like I say, that's replacing the CB. So if you haven't heard about that, that's the latest and greatest. We've got them on our website. Rugged Radio also has them on their website. So it doesn't matter to us. We just want to get the news out about that. All right, next, here's the crux of our show, death wobble. And what are the potential causes of death wobble? This is a popular topic. We're asked about it all the time. People are commenting, how do I fix this? And we've actually got a Jeep here in the studio. We're going to spin around and show you guys, and I'm actually gonna point out what to look for on each of these things. All right, let's talk about the possible pieces on your front end that can cause death wobble. There's several components actually. So these are all the things that you kind of want to keep track of. First one I want you to watch for is tire wear. What's happening with the tire? Is the tire out of balance, out of alignment? You know, really look, or is the tire just flat out worn out and it's time for new tires anyways, okay? These are all things you got to consider. Next is you're gonna check wheel bearings. Now I've got this up in the lift, so if it was down on the ground, you can also kind of bump into the tire and check it that way. But you're gonna wanna check, you know, you're looking for looseness in the steering, in the knuckle, in the wheel bearing. You're looking for anything. But what typically happens is all of these things wear out kind of evenly with age of the vehicle. So just like the tire wear, every one of these components is going to get a little more sloppy. Well, when you add up that slop across all 10 things, well, that gives it just enough so that you get a little tire wear or an uneven road, and then that cycle, that oscillation starts, and it's hard to stop, okay? Now, the other thing I can tell you is, if you've had death wobble, it might have already screwed up your tires. It doesn't take but a few times of that, doing it very violently, and all the cords in the tread are messed up. And when you start to change components, you're gonna need to move those rear tires to the front so that you can actually have a brand new playing field to even see if you're making any headway, okay? Next, I'm just gonna kind of work my way across here, showing you all the possibilities of what it could be, right? So you've got, everybody talks about their steering, right? So you got the tie rod right here. This runs across. This joint right here, if the boot is cracked, you know, if it seems sloppy, you know, like if you could move it real easy, this one's tight, right? This is actually an upgraded one from stock. So that's not gonna be a source of the problem. Next would be lower ball joint. That boot's pretty worn. Upper ball joint, also pretty worn. But when we did our shake test, they proved to be tight, okay? Next, moving our way across, steering box. What happens is there's a bearings and a gear set inside here, and those can develop slop. It is adjustable on the top of the box, but on a TJ, YJ, CJ, it's gonna require taking the bumper off to be able to access it. So it's just a Allen wrench on the top with a jam nut, and you can take a little bit of the slop. You do not want to overdo that, okay? Because what happens is it's gonna start really wearing the gears and the bearings prematurely. So if you do find that you have a little bit of slop right there, and you can check it on the wheel, like if you move the wheel and nothing happens here, then this needs to be adjusted just a little, okay? I caution you, just a little. Next would be checking to make sure that the pitman arm is seated and not loose. There's a lock washer on here, and this nut needs to be checked from time to time, especially if you're doing a lot of off-roading. This is torqued, I think it's 150 foot-pounds. It's a lot, okay? Next would be, this is the drag link, right, that comes across. Checking these, you know, does it turn easily? Now that one moves a little bit, right? It's easier than this one. So, but it still feels tight. And if it were looser than that, then I would be suspect of that. So you've got a joint at each end of this drag link, and a joint at each end of the tie rod. Next thing would be track bar. This one's already got an upgraded Heim on it. And this Heim, that although Heims are beefier than sometimes the tie rod ends are on here, but they can also get sloppy. They're not perfect. And this one does not appear to be sloppy. The other thing I could do is I could try a shake test back and forth. The other end of this is rubber mounted. And I can tell you that the other end right here of this track bar, this is a small bolt. And this is almost always 100% of the culprit right here. Okay, once this gets loose or this rubber bushing that's inside there gets worn, you will not have any control of this front end. This bar is what holds the whole front axle underneath the vehicle. So when you hear somebody talking about the track bar, this is it. This is what keeps the front end tracking under the center of the vehicle. So very important that this bolt is tight. It takes a wrench on the back. Sometimes there's a little nut welded on a plate, but this is something you need to check quite often and make sure that that's tight. And don't over tighten it, because if it breaks, then you're in big trouble too. So you want to look up the factory torque spec on that. This one also has an aftermarket steering stabilizer. That will help with death wobble, right? So what that does is it helps to cancel out any initial oscillation that you might get in that front end by hydraulically slowing it down. So if you've got a much more built vehicle, maybe you would have a ram assist. That will also do the same thing. Obviously, this is a much more standard setup that you'd see on a TJ, YJ, XJ, LJ, right? This is a pretty standard style steering. So again, just like that side, you've also got another upper and lower ball joint on here and this other tie rod end. So these are the main components that make up the steering, right? Now, you do still have upper right here, and this one, looks a little bit clapped out, upper joints or bushings, and in this case the bushings, and same on the lower on both sides. And these have on both ends of the control arms, there's bushings. So if those start to get sloppy or worn, that will let the front axle track uneven, and it will also cause tire wear and really start that cycle of giving you death wobble, okay? So again, when you're off-roading, you're putting these pieces through the paces. You are demanding a lot of all of these components, especially if you've upgraded tire size, okay? So, these things were all designed for a 30-inch tire. So the moment you start going 33s, 35s or bigger, man, these components are begging for mercy. So just understand that, and understand that you got to stay after that. These should be normal maintenance items. When I talked before about bolt checking stuff, these are things you should have a wrench on every time you go out, before you go out, and then when you come back, check them out again. Important, and you need to be familiar with these, because when you come off the trail, I want you to be able to look underneath here and give it a quick visual to say, okay, I don't see anything that's backed off, anything that's worn or shiny, so I'm good to get back on the highway and head home. So you really need to get used to what this looks like, and then you'll be a lot safer out there and be able to head off the famous death wobble. All right, so if you have any questions or comments, please type them in. When I return, I'll be sure to answer those. I know this is a popular topic, and you may have some specifics that I didn't cover, so just put them in there and I'll be sure to get back to you. All right, as always, don't forget, you can go over to our website. We've got all of our galleries under company. We've got our Tech Talk page where we have a bunch of free downloads. They're PDFs that you can download for packing your tools, for building a door caddy, for all kinds of cool stuff. And I've always talked about the search box. The search box is where you can type in part of a part number or part of a description. And this is a very smart search box. It will immediately pull up a list of the items that fall under that category. The normal way, shop by vehicle, you just choose whether you've got a TJ or whatever, and then by product, you can shop for fenders or suspension or whatever else. We did just update our suspension category with our EXS, our Legend, our Tracer, our Elite. So you're gonna see a bunch of new suspension categories in there, so check that out if you get a chance. And then of course, don't forget about our accessories category. There's a whole bunch more stuff in there that's not listed under products, so good to know. All right, and then of course, if you aren't already subscribing to our newsletter, just pop your name and email in there and you'll get more information. Of course, who doesn't love more stuff about your Jeep? And then you can shop by brand down here. A few more cool services that's down at the bottom of that same page. There's the gallery, so you can go in here and look at all the Jeep builds. There's a ton of extra information. So if you look at this Jeep, it'll tell you all about the tires, wheels, suspension, give you links to the different part numbers, and show you a bunch more pictures of that Jeep build. And then of course, if you like what you see, don't forget, not only are we on Facebook, we're over on Instagram, and we've got a ton of videos over on YouTube that are also categorized. We've got thousands over there, so if you haven't checked it out, get over there and check it out. All right, that concludes this show. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you the next Tuesday.